Hey, this is Justin King. Welcome to this episode. I'm very excited about this as I get to interview my good friend and millennial owner of a B2B industrial distributor, Sean McDonnell from TruePar. Now listen, the beginning audio is a little bit wonky, but we clear it up within just a few minutes, so stick with it. I hope you enjoy it. So, this is a pretty exciting webcast for me, and I think everybody's going to get a lot out of this. I'm really excited to have this conversation. So, I'm going to introduce you here in just a second to Sean McDonnell. But Sean and I met probably 3 years ago now, Sean. So, I think Sean reached out to me through ecommerceandb2b.com, which is one of our websites. And Sean just reached out and said, "Hey, wanna meet and just chat." And we scheduled a call.
I think it actually went out the other way, but yes.
I didn't schedule a call with you.
Yeah. So I just wanted to download one of your white papers, and then next thing you know, I get a personalized email on a Sunday afternoon.
You're right.
And I was like, okay, so this isn't the typical sales campaign. Like, this is actually a human being writing me an email on a Sunday afternoon saying, "Let's meet." And I was like, I typically won't do this, but I gave it a shot. And then leading up to the meeting, I had some anticipation, and you can. Do you remember what I told you when we first got on the call?
No. I remember a lot of the content of the call, but go ahead.
I essentially said, like, so it's leading up to the call, and I'm sitting there thinking, like, so this guy is having people download these white papers, producing a bunch of relevant content on the industry. He's going to try to sell me on something, and I was like, so I actually almost canceled the call right before the call, and then finally I got on the call, and the first 30 seconds I was like, dude, I'm interested in talking. It sounds like you know a lot about the industry, and there isn't many people who have this kind of knowledge, but I'm not going to buy anything from you. so if that's where we're going to go here, I don't want to waste your time or mine.
And then we continued talking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, you're right. I do remember that actually very vividly now, because there were some weekends, I didn't do it every weekend, but there were some weekends that I went through my list, people that had signed up, and I would just kind of write personalized emails to people and just say, "Hey, I'm a real person, and if you need anything, just reach out. It looks like you have and I tried to look at what they were doing, and that's right. You're right about that. I know, but what I do remember, Sean, is it was we immediately clicked though. I could immediately knew that we were going to become friends. And what you're one of our customers, but we don't have a transactional relationship. We've done a lot of work together. You with us and us with you, and but we haven't done it financially, which has been a ton of fun too. It just made it a lot more a very, very relaxed relationship, which I've appreciated. So for the audience, Sean is one of my favorite people to speak with. I was just telling Sarah Falcon that Sean and I we keynoted IRCE this year, and last year we were at B2B Online, and I remember what you wore. You're on the stage. You're I'm in my relaxed stuff, right? And my relaxed is jeans and a sports coat, right? And you get on the stage with peg jeans, your Converse, and your beanie.
But it was cold out.
And I know you did it on purpose too, which is it was June. And I know you did it on purpose, which is awesome. So the contrast between the two of us was so much fun to watch that. Just the contrast between even how we delivered stuff, our personalities, how we were dressed, our age. I mean, everything was in such contrast, which made it a ton of fun to watch. I still have people that come up to me and say, "Hey, that talk you did with Sean was amazing back at
Yeah,
BDI."
so do I, for sure.
Should have been the first one of that session, not the last. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, so Sean and I have had a relationship for a long time, but I'm really excited about for you guys to kind of hear the story. Let's just start, Sean, by you telling us a little bit of your story here, how you got started in this, how you got started in digital marketing, and then how you started looking at TruePar. Oh, before I talk about that, so on the screen is TruePar.com, but the terrible it's how. So Sean's from Pittsburgh, and I'm from Cleveland, and every chance I get when I'm on stage with Sean, I try to make as many derogatory remarks towards the Pittsburgh Steelers as possible. So Sean thought it would be funny on his introduction slide at Internet Retailer and here to put as much Pittsburgh Steelers stuff on the screen.
And the really
as
funny
so
part about that is Cleveland Browns fans wake up hating the Steelers. That's like the majority of their day. Okay. We don't even think about you guys.
That is actually so much more hurtful than knowing that you hate us.
We don't like the Patriots because we see them in the playoffs.
You don't see the Cleveland Browns. So much more hurtful than knowing that you hate us.
So yes, I am from Pittsburgh. I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, and I actually grew up. My father's been in the material handling, industrial equipment industry my entire life. My father and my mother, they built this business together, and my father's a pretty traditional dealership whenever it comes to forklifts. He sells large and small forklifts. So if you're in the Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh / Eastern Ohio area, and you need the actual equipment, I could get you his details. So I grew up in the industry, like it was just kind of what I knew, and I in 2006 I graduated from high school, and I kind of decided I found a girlfriend and I kind of like to snowboard, so I decided to move to Colorado, and that's after barely graduating high school. I kind of let's just say I did a little bit of cheating. It was that was my way of getting me through, and I decided college wasn't for me because you have to go to high school. You don't have to show up to college. So I knew that was going to be my MO. I moved to Colorado and did a ski bum job for a little while. Had really no dreams or ambitions. Just kind of like was getting paid minimum wage. And then finally, I got my first computer in 2010. So I mean, not that long ago. I got the computer like download music or whatever. Didn't really have any background. I think I wasn't even on Facebook yet. And I got kind of introduced to the digital marketing industry, like social media marketing for business was getting popular at the time. So I read some digital marketing books, went to a conference, and started decided I'm going to be an entrepreneur, and I had been in some other kind of things throughout my teens with friends and whatnot. So it's kind of, I'm not a very good employee. I tend to, my dad says push the envelope. So I tend to ask a lot of questions, and if something doesn't work or if I don't agree with something, I kind of just say it and come up with my own way. So I started this digital marketing business, social media marketing, and I was doing it for, I was living in Aspen, Colorado at the time, and I started doing marketing for local businesses, getting them a social media presence, real estate agents, etc. And then starting to do like take their websites and either build them new websites or optimize their current websites and grow that on Google, get it up to the top of Google through SEO and content marketing. And one of the companies, I said to my dad, like I'm doing this thing, your website's kind of crappy. Like let's do some marketing for your business. And so I started doing like local marketing for equipment leads. And then in 2012, after doing marketing for him for a couple of years and also learning about the industry, and we grew pretty quickly. I at one point had an outsourced team of 20 employees doing development and marketing work. And I said to him, I think that we could sell parts for this equipment online. And his response was, he wanted to get the equipment leads. He wasn't, and his response was, go ahead and try, but it'll never work. People buy from people. I often think about that because the amount of times that I've heard that or a similar version of that in the years since, especially in the B2B industry, is astonishing. So I just thought, oh, you're small business, like kind of closed-minded about this stuff. It's not. I mean, plenty of people with, very educated, are very good in traditional business say the same thing to me, and it's been an interesting journey because of that. I've definitely always had to be the guy who, like, the show me guy. No one ever kind of just takes it as oh, well, we think it's going to work. We're behind you. It's always kind of like it'll never work, and I like to prove them wrong. So he said that. He kind of gave me the green light to, like, he wasn't going to pay for it, but if I did it, he would, like, it wouldn't be a conflict. I mean, he has different clients. It's a lot more kind of territory based, and I was going after the whole internet. So I started working on TruePar.com, which stands for truck parts, if anyone wanted to know. And I started working on that during the nights and weekends, starting in 2012. Then, as I did a couple light launches of this, I mean, without his connections, I wouldn't have been able to get connected with some of the large manufacturers and wholesale distributors in the industry. I mean, he's been in the industry a long time, so I can't discount that. And so because of my last name, because of like the history, I was automatically given access to things that someone off the street wouldn't necessarily be given. It's a pretty small industry in the grand scheme of things. So I was building this site. I had partnered with a couple wholesale distributors and manufacturers and got some product content, and I was building the site over the next couple years on the nights and weekends, and still had my marketing clients and did some soft launches, some just kind of tests, and I saw that there was we were getting some interest, we were getting some traffic to the site. So in September of 2014, I fired my marketing clients and launched TruePar.com as my primary business, which was a big risk. And I launched it with 1 million material handling replacement parts for 400 brands, and that was kind of the first iteration. And then I got to start learning about the things the customers wanted, the products the customers wanted. So I built that catalog. I started adding customer service reps. I did some optimizations to the website, and a big part was building the catalog. And it was one of my hang-ups with the previous platform that I was on. I just relaunched my e-commerce site on Oro Commerce, which is the founders of Magento started a B2B e-commerce platform that had a very similar vision to mine whenever it came to what the future of B2B e-commerce technology looks like. And they also had a track record of building the largest e-commerce platform in the world, or the most deployed e-commerce platform in the world. But I'll talk about that later. So at the end of 2016, at the fiscal year end of 2016, we had 7.8 million parts for 600 brands, over 40,000 B2B customers globally, and we had automated everything so that we could ship to the whole U.S. in one day ground, or to 90% of the U.S. in 1 day ground, and that's at a flat rate, and then 2 day ground for Canada, and then Mexico will be next. And that's with 4 full-time customer service representatives and myself, and we continue to grow and without having to continue to add personnel to the staff.
How's that, Justin?
Oh, that sounds much better. All right.
Gotta love Bluetooth.
So
I'm supposed to be the tech guy, and it never fails.
No worries. So you started talking about the platform. So you were previously on a B2C platform, right? When you first launched TruePar.com, you were on a B2C platform, correct?
Correct. So I built the actual website on a platform called Volusion, which is like a Shopify or a big commerce competitor. They focus primarily on B2C, and they kind of have the monthly, under $1,000 pricing plan, and kind of they're pretty restricted whenever it comes to things that you can do. But I mean, that was kind of my price point, considering I bootstrapped this from the beginning. So that was like where I started, and then quickly I realized that there was just a lot of features that I needed that this solution wasn't going to provide, as well as my large catalog. That was a big part of it. With Volusion, I kind of maxed out I continued to max out at each million products I would add. It would start to break down from there. So I started, looking at other platforms to re-platform the site, but the problem was that I'm not this big enterprise with $1 million budget to make it happen. So it was an interesting journey, going from knowing I needed a new platform to actually getting it launched.
And on top of the catalog, were a lot of the features that you were missing kind of the B2B type features, or were they kind of B2C features that you were missing?
What's interesting is I started this with a very B2C mentality. Like, I kind of said no more quotes, because I saw the inefficiencies what I saw as inefficiencies at my father's company, which I've just realized are pretty much standard B2B best practices. And it was like account setup time, multiple users for an account, corporate pricing or special catalogs for certain customers, multiple price lists, really the corporate account management piece, and then also request for quote, conversion to order. They all just would they would take so much time. They would involve all these different departments, and, it just was a broken system in my mind. And so I really wanted to find a solution that could make a lot of this self-service for customers, because I believe that if and I'll read this. I was going to, talk about this later, but in the 2011 letter to shareholders, Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, says that even well-meaning gatekeepers slow innovation. When a platform is self-service, even the improbable ideas can get tried because there's no expert gatekeeper ready to say that will never work. Guess what? Many of those improbable ideas do work. So that's his quote.
Yeah,
but that's kind of the mentality,
And so you're on this B2C platform. Now you want to move to a more robust platform. Like, tell us a little bit about that process that you went through.
Oh man. Well, it involved having calls with guys like you, because I had no idea. I had no idea what was available. There isn't much information out there. And so whenever I found e-commerce and B2B, it was a big kind of breath of fresh air, because I was calling, all of the big software vendors, and they just, I wasn't even close to their target market, so it was one of those things. I knew I needed all these features, and I had been around the development programming world enough to know that a lot of these features would be a little too robust for me to build in-house. So I started exploring, and what I found was that there really wasn't platforms out there tailored to a startup, quote unquote, disruptor mentality. It was all like unless you are in the Fortune list, we're not interested.
Yeah. I remember this. So I remember this conversations because I remember having those conversations about, like, listen, there are very few, if any, platforms that are less than 500 grand. We've actually watched a major shift over the last, even the last 12 months, right? Oro, the platform you chose, over the last 12, 18 months, has joined a few others, but there's still very few platforms. But when you and I were doing this, and when you were going through this, Sean, there's just very few, right? There was really kind of slim pickings.
Right.
And so you eventually settled on Oro. And when did you launch your new site?
I launched the new site June 1st.
Oh wow, that's cool.
So about a month and a half ago.
So, tell us about the relaunch and how that's gone, and what you've kind of seen in that process.
Well, first off, I'll tell you about, like, personally and emotionally, it's one of those kind of unicorns that you finally catch. I've been working on this thing for so long, that and being that we have a pretty bare bones staff. I was I owned this project, and also still had to continue to run my business, and continue to continue to grow and service my customers. And so I tried a number of solutions. I tried doing it cheap. I tried, partnering up. I tried all these different kind of strategies. And the one thing that whenever I got with Oro, it was kind of just whenever it was like paying me back for all of the pain and nights and weekends and lost girlfriends and all the things, it was finally like that fit. And so I started working with them less than a year ago, and I had a lot of doubts that they were even going to be able to do what they said they could do, just because of my jaded perspective. And so they spun up a demo site, and they put all of my products on it in less than a week and a half. And that's something that other solutions either couldn't do, or, well, I never saw it happen. So that was kind of the selling point for me. And then, since they proved that to me, I signed on with them, and it was the first experience I ever got where I was actually dealing with a real, like, modern software development company, where the mentality was very much about continuous innovation, and not these large kind of project plans that never actually come to fruition. And so, it's been a breath of fresh air, because we get to continue to add features, because the platform has an open source side and it has the enterprise side. It has, and it's written in a common code base that developers all over the world understand. We've gotten the opportunity to add features as if they were a part of the product, kind of not just a bolt-on. We've gotten to add custom TruePar.com features that, were just kind of pipe dreams for me. So it's been great. I mean, now we have launched it, and it's one of those things, like, I have to kind of step back for a second, and I have all these other plans and vision to really utilize it in the best way possible. And now I get to jump into another project, so the launch has been good. It's definitely like one of those things they handled all of maintaining my SEO and so my current customers and previous customers, weren't affected. And then really it's now about training my internal staff, and continuing to keep them up to speed with new features coming out, because we are an e-commerce company. So it's not like, this isn't a marketing strategy for us. This is our business, and with that in mind, we have to run it like it's our business, and every single customer interaction, needs to be thought about in that way, and in with the e-commerce frame of mind. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And for those that are listening to this, so Yoav Kudner is the founder, one of the founders of Oro, and Yoav was the brains and everything behind Magento. Magento just sold to Adobe for I think $1.68 billion, and Yoav was the guy that created that, the architect behind it, the technical brains behind it. So what I know about it is that Yoav has really taken everything great that he learned there, and any of the mistakes that they made inside of Magento, and he knew that Magento didn't have a B2B e-commerce platform, and so they have, Oro is the manifestation of all of that work, and any mistakes that were made at Magento are now corrected here. And now, it's a pretty incredible story. And so when Sean talks about this modern architecture, it's modern architecture from the lens of a guy that's literally an icon in the industry, which is really, really cool. So you have almost 8 million parts. So why did you choose to have so many SKUs? So distributors kind of go through this balancing act, right? Do we just put our stock items on, or do we, just launch with a small catalog versus a big catalog? Why did you choose to have so many SKUs?
You know, I very much come from the belief that it's the same conversation I kind of had with because that was the first iteration of my father's suggestion way back when. I'm not sure how much I was cutting out during that time, but essentially his idea was, let's just put our fast movers on there. And then not only that, let's not show the price and make them call us for the price, or make them log in for the price. And I came from the mentality that, you know, if you build it, they will come. And every single, like, there isn't a thing that a customer can call us about that they can't see publicly on the website. So it's not like we have some secret behind the curtain situation. We really expose all of the products we can offer. We tell you exactly when we're going to get them to you. And sometimes they're back ordered, and sometimes they take 3 to 5 weeks. But also, a lot of times you do a search on Google for that part number, and we're the only result. So that in 2018, that's not a common thing, unless you type something wrong. And so that's really kind of my mentality is I show prices, I show delivery times, I let you set up an account, I let you order the products right there. You can pay with credit card, you can pay with net terms. You know, we partnered with another company that will approve net terms for you, and kind of extend the line of credit, and you could purchase right through the website, like a pay with PayPal button. You know, and so really it's been about just complete transparency and like exposing everything that we have to our customers or potential customers.
You said it fast, but I want to come back to it. So you have SKUs on your website that when people search on Google, it's not like you're the first page. It's not like you're on the first page. You have SKUs that you're the only listing, right?
The only listing. I mean, it's kind of awkward.
The conversion rate. Your conversion rate better be like super high on those.
Yeah. Unless they typed it in wrong, you know.
Right,
that's the only. But I mean, at the end of the day, like I was looking at an order that we got the other day for a piece of JLG equipment, and we sell all aftermarket parts that meet or exceed OEM. So we're the Advanced Auto or Napa or AutoZone of the equipment industry. And I did a search for a part number that a customer ordered the other day, and we were the only result, you know. And isn't it nice whenever the only result will show you price and let you order it, and you can have it on the way to you within minutes? So
how do you, I mean, on your website, I can literally put my zip code in and it'll tell me the price it is to get it to me, and it's 1-day shipping. How do you calculate shipping? Talk a little bit about some of the mechanics of product data, calculating shipping, and things like that you guys do.
So kind of, I look at it like, from the beginning, I've involved my customers, partners, vendors, you know, in designing a self-service capabilities, you know, and so what that means is I've built this presence online to the point where I can make some demands on my vendors, and say, here's the information that I need from you. Here's how I need it. And, you know, here are the SLAs that I expect whenever it comes to getting the products out the door, you know, the stock being correct, et cetera, or else I won't deal with you. Because I mean, customers are number one for me, and that affects my customers if we have weak information or incorrect information. Because if I'm trying to get all of my customers to drink the Kool-Aid, that they can trust it just like they could, just as if they called into us, it has to be right. So so that's been a big part of my business model is really using vendors as, you know, kind of treating vendors as partners in this, and not as much as just we're another customer of theirs, and working with their teams internally and integrating into their systems so that whenever you're looking at products, it's calling a number of different vendors, picking the best price, the best delivery times, and then displaying it to you right on the website. Then whenever you go and create an order for that, it pushes it directly to the vendors, and they have the order within seconds of you clicking the create order button. So automatically that stock that you saw on the website is getting picked, packed, and shipped, and is reserved for you.
They, I mean, that's a pretty remarkable thing. I don't think you treat your customers and your suppliers with the same level of kind of respect, don't you? I mean, yeah, you said you made demands, but you did that for the purpose of selling more of their products. Amazon. There's just a recent podcast with Amazon, the VP of Amazon Business, and he talked about in that podcast. He talked just as much about the supplier experience, the vendor experience, as he did the customer experience, and what they're trying to do to enable that. And you've taken that tact since you started this.
Yeah. Cool. It's been a lot of the reason, that we've had any success is because of those relationships and those partnerships, and really me continuing to push the envelope and ask why, like why can't we do it this way? Like, why can't we push harder? And then whenever the right people get involved in that process at the executive level of my forward-thinking vendors, it's the flywheel. As soon as the forward-thinking vendors get on board with my plan, and they provide me with the type of access and type of information that I need to be successful, then all of the other vendors, start hustling and bustling to follow suit.
Yeah. So on your website today, the first banner that's on your website is about your net terms. Talk a little bit about how you're facilitating your net terms. So I think before you were really truly kind of B2C, and now you've kind of moved from, in our world, we talk about customer adoption versus acquisition. You've started on the acquisition side, and now you're really trying to build kind of these long-standing relationships with these customers by facilitating terms. How are you facilitating those terms without, the standard credit manager, send me a PDF with your information, I'll look at it, cash flow, social security numbers, all that jazz. I mean,
I'm not a bank. I mean, and that's my mentality is this idea that just because we're in B2B, we should be a bank for our customers. Yeah. I think is a broken model. And I've thought that for a long time. And so it was a difficult, that was a difficult journey because there wasn't, I was like, how do I do this? Do I raise capital? Do I can't be floating, hundreds of thousands of dollars to different customers in with the risk of them paying me late or them paying me, not paying me at all. Because that would kind of inhibit the partner relationship I have with my vendors. I pay them quickly, I pay them on time, and like I pay them every time. And so if that type, especially in the early phases of that type of, we just couldn't take that kind of loss. So I found out, I heard about, I actually was on a panel speaking with a gentleman, his name's Michael Noble, and he started this B2B payment platform called Approve. It's APRUVE .com, and essentially he's built this business that sees those same pain points, and he's partnered with a number of financial institutions, and they essentially have built this platform that it integrates into the website. You fill out your credit application like you would a traditional credit application, references, Dun& Bradstreet number, you know, they're going to check you out, just like a in-house accounting team would do. And then they approve you for a certain amount of credit. And once, so that at that point, they're the ones assuming the risk for that credit. And I get paid just like I get paid, you know, from credit card companies. If you swipe a credit card, I get paid the next day. There is a percentage to that, but I mean, it's no different than a credit card percentage, and I'm already used to that. But it enables, I mean, there was times over the last several years that I've lost good, you know, customers because I just didn't have the capabilities to offer terms to them. And they had proven their worth, you know, they had done a good bit of business with us, but at the end of the day, it wouldn't have been fair for me to offer terms to them, even if I knew they were going to pay, because we didn't have the team to facilitate that. So Approve has really kind of taken that burden of collections, of you know, credit approval, of credit management, and allowed us to do what we do well, and that's e-commerce. You know, getting parts to getting supplies to customers, and then Approve kind of and they get paid for it. You know,
I mean, I think what's interesting about that is we're watching something happen in the industry where, you know, different segments of the industry, they're starting to build technology to enable someone like you to quickly get up to speed. I mean, you said it right. I mean, to offer terms yourself, you either raise capital or find another way to do it. And now you have a technology, kind of a fintech, you know, financial services tech company like Approve come in and say, we'll offload all that. We'll give you the technology to do that. And literally you're just plugging them into your website, right? And
then a step further, I have you know, partnering with Oro and going with Oro, they build a platform that can easily integrate in with a system like Approve. And so then them building out that extension, and having that ability, you know, because that's the one kind of X factor is what's it going to take to implement this on my website, so the customers can actually check out and it will verify that they have an account, et cetera, all in a seamless experience. And so that's kind of the final piece of that is that tie-in, and how seamless and easy that was to make happen.
So talk a little bit about, you know, without having a legacy business. So, you know, most of our customers inside the digital branch, you know, are legacy business owners. You know, they have a kind of a standard branch-based business or kind of a location-based business. But you didn't have that legacy business. I mean, you left your dad's business to kind of remove all those processes. How has that helped you do things better? And how do you think you're able to approach that differently than other people can?
Well, like I was saying before, you know, it's allowed me to involve customers, partners, vendors in the design of self-service capabilities. You know, my business didn't have to fit I didn't build my business around legacy, and in my opinion, broken processes. You know, and I was able to build my business around customers, and you know, customers that wanted to shop online. So I mean, I observed them as they try to accomplish activities, you know, important to them, and truly understand their requirements and goals, and get their ideas on how to improve. And then I design services and workflows from the customer's perspective, regardless of how systems are internally, you know, and then I expose everything. So I think that a big kind of suggestion, well, the first suggestion is, if you don't want to do it yourself, I'm happy to add your products to TruePar.com. And, you know, that I can do that, because I mean, I'm continuing to expand the vendor base, but I was saying that's not why people are on this call. So, so the suggestion is that if you're going to do this, you know, for one, guys like Justin, like really have a firm understanding on the personnel and kind of requirements that you'll need internally. But I mean, the main point is that I believe you have to if you really want to be successful in a digital transformation, you know, or kind of some of these buzzwords, is you have to have a team internally that can run as an autonomous business, because that was a big kind of struggle that I had trying to work with my father's company. Was I had every single thing that I was spending my time on was just ways to fit e-commerce into his business, and it wasn't ways to actually serve the customer. And so whenever I took it out on my own and completely got to kind of rewrite the book, it allowed me to innovate and kind of question the status quo, and operate autonomously. Now, I do believe that could happen internally at a legacy business, but these gatekeepers, I mean, like, you need to let this group, this team, operate, you know, autonomously from the rest of the bureaucracy of the business, because there's no way that you're going to compete and you're going to stay up to speed if every single little decision needs to come back and there's all of these kind of naysayers about it. Like, you want to test, you want to track those tests, and you want to like make changes accordingly. And you need to move fast.
Very cool. I mean, my head's a little swimming from it, because I think that most of our customers, well, most of the distributors that we work with, they build process, and then at the end of building process, somebody says, I wonder what our customers think about this new process, right? And you're starting from the customer back and saying, like, what does the customer need? Let's just build that. And by the way, I'm going to be relenting until we can do it, right?
Right.
I think that's your philosophy too, right? I'm just going to annoy the heck out of people until they give me what I want. If it's for the customer.
What are you trying to say?
If it's for the customer, right?
It
That's
is.
right.
Customer obsession is one of our core values.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, customers will tell you if you listen, you know, and just because a customer, I mean, the idea is that you have to obviously listen to the customer, but there has to also be the balance of getting to the root of what a customer wants, because they may ask for something that isn't a standard B2B e-commerce practice. But if you really dig down and keep asking why, you know, you figure out what they really want, and then you can build that and scale it.
Yeah.
And it's not just that one customization for this one customer.
So you're asking questions to kind of get to the heart of what the customer needs, and then you build something that you think represent them. I always remember, like, the guy that built, like, no customer ever asked for intermittent wipers, right? However, a guy saw the problem with wipers and saw customers with this ability of, you know, there was no kind of in-between spot, and he solved a problem for the customer, even though they didn't know what the solution was. And I think that's what you're saying too. Like, you ask all the hard questions. You ask all the hard questions, and you keep asking questions, keeping curious about what they're doing, and then you build solutions and test them, right? Because I'm sure you built stuff that just doesn't work.
Absolutely.
Or you need to pivot on or whatever. That's really cool. What does your team look like? You started talking a little bit about a team, 4 people. What does it look like? for you guys?
Really, it's kind of shifted over time. Customers. I mean, the phones just keep ringing more and more. Even though we're e-commerce, we sell replacement parts, so there are some pieces that customers need a little bit of hand-holding through, and understanding that hybrid between the traditional, you can't find a phone number on Amazon, and versus my father's company where you can't do anything without talking to someone. I've kind of continued to build that customer onboarding, customer support, customer service staff in order to facilitate even if it's us just walking them through how to check out online, even if it's us just walking them through how to do a search and find products or request for a quote, or, any of these features that we have online. The thing is, we're available, here in the US to facilitate those needs, so that we can kind of teach them how to fish and not just feed them,
Yeah. Very good.
So that's been a lot of my team. And then with the partnership with Oro and with my vendors, it's essentially, they're an extension of us. I mean, like, we have our technology team through Oro, and they've continued to step up to the plate and really understand my business problem and come up with innovative, scalable solutions. And then on the other side, as I've built relationships and partnerships with these vendors, we kind of use their internal staff to facilitate some of the more technical knowledge and kind of industry knowledge. And then we kind of are that go-between between the customers and then the industrial world. So
last question for you. So if your dad came back to you now and said, "Hey, Sean, help me, be the consultant, help me launch this business. You've proven it to me, right? But I just don't know what I don't know about this stuff." Like what would be your recommendations to him? Like what are kind of the top things that you would recommend to your dad if he said, "Yeah, I want to do this on my own now. Help me figure it out"?
So, I mean, really, I see you as the expert in that world, but I think, because I obviously, like, that's hasn't been my story. But I would say that a lot of things I've mentioned already, it's first off, you would need someone that has, is an entrepreneur at heart, and you would also need complete autonomy from the traditional business, because the second that someone would have to get involved in these long meetings to have meetings, or these, all of these ideas without decision or action, that it just slows the ability to do this as quickly as you need to. Because I mean, guys like me are coming. I mean, it's inevitable. I mean, this is something you can turn to B2C and watch what's happened there. It's one of those things that the disruptors are coming, and so in order to truly compete and stay competitive, I think that you would need to enable a team to work autonomously from the rest of the organization, and obviously set goals and kind of milestones for them, just like outside venture capital would, and expectations. But whenever it comes to day-to-day decision making, they need to be able to make these decisions themselves and try and fail and try again. So that would be my suggestion is build a team that has that autonomy and with someone leading it that is an entrepreneurial mind and and has the, kind of that mentality of starting with the customer and working backwards. And, I think that you have a lot better of a chance for success than trying to just get your legacy programmer to whip up a website, or paying some third party, to build you a website, because building is the easy part. It's the internal processes and the internal kind of operations of this that will equal success or failure.
You've heard me talk a lot about adoption, but when we talk to some distributors, we say this. We say, listen, if you just want to kind of slowly move through the stages, right? Then you can have an internal team. If you want to do this the right way, if you actually want to move quickly and actually establish a digital business, you have to separate almost into its own P&L. I mean, I guess that's what you're saying, right?
It
separate
is.
Into its own P&L, own department, own company, essentially.
Right.
With that autonomy.
On paper, but yeah, my own P&L. I need to know if I'm profitable. I need everything. Like if I'm an entrepreneur, I want to know those things, and that's how it should be operating.
And you can leverage the supply chain capabilities of your company, right? The things that they do well, right? There's probably a bunch of things within that distributor that they do really, really well. Obviously, they have tons of knowledge about product.
And a lot of the struggles that I've had to bear myself, and I'm kind of coming back around on, because I completely separated, you have that competitive advantage is your company has people and kind of industry presence that is, I mean, there's no value you can put on that. And so they're not meant, this autonomous organization internally isn't meant to be like the redheaded stepchild. The thing is that you want them to be able to feed off of, the experience of the traditional company. It's just whenever it comes to decision-making, financials, and kind of operations processes, that's where they need to be able to run autonomously.
Yeah. Really, really good. Sean, really, really appreciate it. Let me just kind of wrap up with kind of two big things that I heard. Every time you and I talk, you talk about putting the customer first. Put the customer first. Put the customer first. Like, what's the customer say about that? And that's actually really cool with a traditional distributor, because a traditional distributor already has the customer, right? They didn't have to do what you did and go find customers. These guys already have the customer, so it should be easier to put the customer first, even though that might not be a part. And for any that are listening on the phone, like, journey mapping is a great way to start that, right? Great journey mapping is a great tool to use to put that customer first, and really dissect it. The other main thing, and I think that last point that you made, I think is so important. To really be successful, to do this the right way. If you just want to kind of limp along, you can limp along through a customer adoption strategy and kind of having an internal team that reports through IT, and then eventually to the CEO. But if you want to do this the right way, and we're watching like Supply Hub, or Supply House, I forget what the name is, companies like that created a separate company, completely autonomous, millennial owned. Everybody in the company is millennials. And they're building everything from the customer perspective. You look at Sean with TruePar, and you see these guys the guys that are really successful, the ones that are able to really scale the business quickly, and test, optimize, track, rinse, repeat, are the people that have actually separated the business. And that's a scary conversation for most people to have inside of a distribution business. You couldn't have, eventually you had to leave to make that happen, Sean.
Yep.
But these guys,
and
the
that's
owners,
the family.
Yeah. and if you're an owner listening to this, listen, it's important. If you want to do this right, if you want to blow it out, it's a very viable strategy to look at. It's actually separating the P&L out and then leveraging as a partner all the things that you do amazingly as a distributor. So really, really cool. Dude, I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Sorry for the
proud
audio.
of you. No, I'm proud of you and everything you've accomplished, and I can't wait to see what's next on the list for you to do. So
we have a backlog of fun things coming. So.
Well, let's do it again then soon. Very much.
Awesome.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one.
Thanks, too.
Everyone. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Hey, we have a new book. It's called Digital Branch Secrets. It's coming out in just a few weeks, and it's all about the X e-commerce system. If you want to get early access to that book and get on the list, go to www.b2becommercesecrets.com/XES.